everyone, and welcome to the first episode of FullStackTalks. I'm Sophie, and we are chatting with Laura today about what's really happening with AI in Ohio. From the big trends to what's actually working on the ground, Laura has the real scoop. Let's start with the macro. I saw in the 2025 Ohio X State AI report that 52% of respondents are bullish about Ohio's AI's potential. Ohio is leaning into AI infrastructure, responsible use, and talent development. And also more broadly, companies are doing more than just pilots now. McKinsey found actually that 53% of executives says that today they use regularly generative AI in at least one business function. So, first of all, thank you for joining me today. What I want to ask you is what you are seeing on the ground when you meet with leads in Ohio.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sophie. I appreciate it. Excited to talk on this topic too. What I'm seeing on the ground definitely mirrors the optimism in that report, but I'd say there's a dose of realism there as well, which is healthy, right? So, for example, I'm working with a mid-sized manufacturing firm here in Ohio, and they started experimenting with generative AI just for demand forecasting. First pilot, pretty messy. Their data just wasn't ready. So after getting those different systems that weren't talking to each other and the underlying assumptions more aligned, the second phase, much cleaner. We cleaned and structured their data sets and then clarified their forecasting goals. And from that project, we were able to achieve a 5 to 8% reduction in inventory waste just within a few months. So the potential is very real. You just need to make sure that the foundation is solid. I'd say another example, a professional services group that I work with that wanted to automate their internal documentation. So they kind of just assumed that AI would instantly be able to fix everything. Instead, we had to map their workflows, unify terminology, and build a review layer. So once that structure is in place, then their team was able to cut documentation time by 40%. So I'd say, yes, interest is very high, but readiness varies. So biggest gaps I see are companies don't know where to start necessarily. They underestimate the data prep that's required ahead of time. And then there's often a mismatch between the expectations that they have and what AI can actually responsibly deliver in a reasonable project time. So the strengths that Ohio does have are pretty significant. We have that very deep manufacturing and logistics base that's been here historically. We have fantastic academic institutions that are producing strong technical talent. And we have a small to mid-sized business ecosystem that's ready to collaborate and take AI as a collaborative advantage or a competitive advantage. Those ingredients are big and real for Ohio.
Great. That was actually a really great insight, Laura. So I guess what it really matters, after all, is like it used to be, it still is. It's having a clear strategy and a clear roadmap, right? So given what you've seen, what must be true for Ohio companies to move beyond experimentation to scale in AI use?
If we're going to move from experimentation into real scale, I think three things need to be true. First would be that clear goal alignment. AI projects need to map directly to business value, or else why are you doing it? They need to reduce costs, they need to improve efficiency, or they need to enable a new service. When the goal is vague, the implementation becomes vague as well. Second, I would say is data readiness, like I mentioned. Clean, accessible, structured data is a non-negotiable. Without that, companies end up with pilots that look very exciting in a slide deck. They just don't work in production. And the third, I'd say, is talent and trust. You need people. You either need in-house or through a partnership that both understand the capabilities and the limits of AI. That's especially important for mid-sized companies that don't often have that dedicated team in-house. So a partner that can help bridge the gap between the technical possibilities and the operational realities makes a huge difference.
Great. Well, thank you, Laura. And I guess AI is not about magic. It's still about talent, the talent behind it, right? Before we wrap, if someone in Ohio or in the region is curious on how to get started, What's one step that you would suggest or encourage them to take?
Yeah, I'd say I always tell companies start small, but just be deliberate. Pick one workflow where your data is reasonably mature, and build your minimal viable AI process around that. And then measure the impact and then iterate from there. So you don't need to tackle a giant transformation to see meaningful results. You just choose one high level use case and let that be your proof of concept.
That's great, amazing, and thank you again. Thank you very much for giving us the real and no BS view from the field. And I guess we'll see each other in another Full Stack Talks.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you. Bye.